Hi, this is Ben with Fullerton College. I'm going to show you how to use the basic tools in the Pathfinder menu in Adobe Illustrator. Pathfinder allows you to make objects interact with each other. Let me show you what I mean. Here's a basic circle and triangle in different colors so you can see clearly what it does. Sometimes they can interact with each other without touching, but it really is best and most powerfully used with overlapping objects. So I'm going to move the circle here, so it's partially covered by the triangle. If I select both of these, you have to select two objects, by the way, for this to work. You select two objects and the different modes under the Pathfinder menu will make it work. Let me show you how to get to Pathfinder. If you are set to the printing and proofing workspace, which I am, it should appear in your right toolbar, and it's right here called Pathfinder. Otherwise, it's under Window, Pathfinder, and that'll bring it up. So we'll go through this, at least through most of them, and take a look at what they do. The first one is under the shape mode called Unite. If you click it, it creates a single shape. The two get glued together, and where they overlap just merges. Let me show you what I mean. So it just became a single object. The part that overlaps just kind of merge into one thing. If I switch it to outline instead of inside, you can see that it is now just this shape. I made a keyhole. Let's undo that. The next one is minus front. In this case, however they overlap, the object on top or arranged forward of the other one counts as a cookie cutter, and the one below counts as Play-Doh. So if I click this right now, it will remove a triangle out of the circle. But if I send this behind, so the circle's on top, it will remove the circle out of the triangle. Whichever one's on top is the cookie cutter, whichever one's on the bottom is the dough. Next is called intersect. This says, I only want to keep the part that overlaps. So wherever the two objects are touching, that will exist, and everything else doesn't matter. Just like this. That made me a nice little pizza slice. Yum, pizza. Undo, undo. Let's select them again. And the last one on the shape mode is exclude, which is the opposite of intersect. Exclude says, if there's anything overlapping, just delete it, which leaves a hole in the middle where the triangle used to go into the circle. If we make this into an outline, you can see it more clearly. It just built that. Undo. Moving down below, one that I do kind of like is divide. If I select these both together and hit divide, it will break it down into pieces where it's kind of a combination of everything that happened above in the shape mode. In shape modes, you remove part from the other. In this one, it basically cuts all the shapes by all of their outlines and makes them all into separate pieces. It doesn't look like it did anything, but let me select these individually by going into the isolation mode. This can move and this can move, and they're all separate parts. You can also select individual parts and change their color. So you can see that these are all built out of different things. Additionally, we have the trim, which will trim out and make the piece behind fit with the one in front, cutting it out, leaving the front one in front. I don't really use merge, but we'll go to crop. Crop shows only part of it. I don't really like using that one. Most of the rest of these I find less useful. Those were the basic ones that you should start out with when you're learning Illustrator. The other ones have much more complicated purposes, so we won't go into them now. So let me show you now what some of this can do with text. Again, as long as your text, so double check. Oop, undo. As long as your text has been outlined and you try to use a text tool and you can't, we know those are objects. You can, but you would need to make this into a compound shape. So if you take a text like the word Pathfinder here that's already been outlined, I can go to Object, Compound Path, Make. Compound Path means treat all of these letters as one object for Pathfinder. Otherwise, it'll do it to each individual letter instead of all of it. So now if I bring this down here and I unite with the unite, it glues together. Note also that whichever object is in the front, whichever object is in front is going to be the one that controls the color. So if red is in front, it's all going to turn red like that. We can do some fun ones. In fact, the exclude is a fun option on this because it brings you this sort of writing. Anyways, any two objects, any shape can be used to pathfind against each other to make interesting interactions with them. This is one method of creating illustrations. I hope it's a useful tool in your toolbox.